Welcome to the October 2020 edition of Hunt Camp Mail. Well, upland season is here, and it's one of my favorite times of year, especially when the quail hunting is good. I've already been out a few times, and I've already enjoyed some great quail dinners, and even went on a grueling hike up in the mountains in search of chukar. I've been doing a little bit of filming out on my quail hunts so far this year, so maybe later I'll try to put together a quail hunting video, maybe even add a little bit of how-to information into the quail hunts for your enjoyment. And I'll try to put that together maybe the next month or so. Also, I apologize that October's Hunt Camp Mail video is coming out so late. It's been a very busy month for me between my business getting back into full swing, deer season, and the quail opener. So let's dive right into the mail. Our first question this month is from Russell in the Houston area. Russell wrote, I currently have a 6.5 Creedmoor topped with a 5 to 20 by 50 scope. I have one of those, I wonder if I should have gotten something else issues. I've often thought of the 7mm 8 as a really good possibility, but I don't know about its future, and the recoil is substantial enough to take it out of the fun shooter category. The largest game that I might get to hunt sometime would be elk. Please advise this wayward soul. Thank you, from Russell. Well, Russell, how's the rifle that you currently own performing? 6.5 Creedmoor is very accurate, easy to shoot, has pretty light recoil, and ammo is readily available everywhere for it. Shooting a 140 grainer at or above 2,700 feet per second is going to put the hurt on any deer or pig, put them down with ease. I do like the 7mm 8 a little better because it shoots those 140 grain bullets about 150 feet per second faster and shoots the heavier 160 grainers pretty damn good too. So that's what I like about the 7mm 8. But in reality, it isn't going to be a huge step up in performance from what you already have. If you're hell-bent on buying another rifle, get something that delivers more energy downrange for your possible future elk hunts. I personally like the 6.5 Creedmoor, but to me, I feel it's at the extreme low end for elk. Maybe look at a 300 Win Mag or a 7mm Remington Magnum for the elk, and then use your 6.5 Creedmoor for everything else. That'd be a good 2-rifle battery. The worst thing you could do is to not learn with the equipment you already have before spending money on something else. Getting to know your equipment will help you figure out what you're going to need going forward. Our second question of the month is from Andrew. Andrew asked, I was thinking about a brush gun, a 6.5 Creedmoor compact model. I'd like to put a red dot on it. Would you recommend the Vortex Crossfire or the Aimpoint? Andrew, in my opinion, definitely go with the Aimpoint. The Aimpoints, especially the Aimpoint Micros, are absolutely amazing and probably one of the most rugged optics ever made. They hold up to abuse on everything from Magnum turkey shotguns to elephant rifles to military weapons in combat conditions. I've used red dots from Leupold, Vortex, Doctor, Bushnell, Trijicon, EOTech, SIG, and Aimpoint. And the Aimpoint red dot sights are the best of the best. And you can see here, if I'm hunting something big and nasty that has absolutely no regard for my life and wouldn't hesitate to take my life, I trust my life to the Aimpoint. In my mind, you can't beat that for a red dot. Our next question is from Bobby in Visalia, California, right up the road from me. Bobby wrote, I love your videos. I was recently promoted to the Valley as a corrections sergeant, and I'm living in Visalia. Could you suggest a local gun range? I want someplace clean where I can take my kids without people being rude to my kids. Well, unless your kids are being grossly unsafe or negligent, most ranges are pretty damn kid friendly in my opinion. But most folks in your area get family memberships at the Visalia Sportsmen's Association. I believe that's what it's called. And use that shooting range. But it's a pretty small range in my opinion. And you could head south, to Five Dogs Range just north of Bakersfield, which is a fantastic range, but can get pretty crowded. You could also head north to Fresno or hop on the 198, go west and shoot at the Kalinga Rifle Club after you get a membership there. I mean, I'm a member there. They have 1,000-yard range and everything. And I used to shoot competitively. I used to shoot matches there competitively all the time. So I like that place too. But honestly, if I were you living in Visalia, I'd shoot on that huge amount of BLM land east of the lake off of Highway 198. So, get a BLM map or subscribe to the Onyx hunting app and you could find some good public land to shoot on. Our next question is from Jeff. Jeff wrote, I got my 458 Win Mag in a 26-inch barrel and heard that bigger bullets moving slower will slow down in longer barrels. Just wondering if I should put a shorter barrel on for that reason or for overall ease of use with the shorter barrel. Just don't know how barrel lengths affects big bores compared to smaller cartridges. Well, Jeff, whoever told you that might not want to listen to him anymore. Big or small bore doesn't matter or change the laws of physics. Even after powder is completely burned in a barrel and pressure is dropping, bullets can still accelerate in the barrel because the combustion forces are still greater than the friction between the bullet and the barrel. Given a long enough barrel and a weak enough load, a bullet can actually slow down in a barrel, but with any commercial 458 Win Mag load in that 26-inch barrel, your bullets are not slowing down before they exit that barrel. I guarantee you. In fact, if you cut that barrel down any, I guarantee you that you'll lose velocity. That rifle was made with a 26-inch barrel for a reason. When you have a 500 grain bullet leaving the muzzle at 2,100 feet per second, cutting 2 inches off that barrel and losing 75 to 100 feet per second is a big deal. You don't want to do that. So your rifle is the length it needs to be. Our next question is from Casey from Virginia. Casey asked, I'd appreciate hearing your take on the 35 Whelen. I'm interested in the merits of the cartridge, as well as where and how it best fits in. Well, that's a great question, Casey, about a truly great cartridge. I love the 35 Whelen, and if you're going to rebore an old 30-06 or a 270, it's a no-brainer. To me, the 35 is a compromise between the 30-06 and the 338 Win Mag. It puts a lot more mass on target than the 30-06, but at almost the same velocity without too much more recoil. The Whelen has much less recoil than the 338 Win Mag, but the 338 Win Mag shoots a lot flatter and has the potential to penetrate deeper. Myself, if I was guaranteed a shot inside of 200 yards on an animal, I would take the Whelen over the 338 Win Mag any day. But if your elk or moose hunt might require you to take a 300-yard shot, that 338 Win Mag is a better tool in my opinion. And our next question is from Dave from Windsor, California. Dave wrote, I wanted to personally thank you for your time and energy you put into your videos, specifically the rifles, bullets, and equipment for hunting. Your tutorials flow well to your audience and are well thought out. I could go on about your attitude regarding unethical hunting techniques, which I am in total support of your message. It needs to be talked about more often when you peruse these hunting channels. Sincerely, Dave in Windsor, California. Well, thank you for your kind words, Dave. I plan on doing a video about hunting ethics to clarify my position on that. And expect that video probably within the next couple months. It'll probably ruffle a few feathers, but it'll be an interesting video nonetheless, and it's my opinion. Our next question is from Corey from Canada, another Corey. Corey asked, I'd like to reload federal premium trophy bonded tip bullets, 160 grain for my 7mm Remington Magnum. Took my first moose with it this year and was highly impressed with the accuracy I was getting with it and the factory cartridges and the bullet performance on the moose itself. Through and through double lung shot, liquidated his lungs and no fragmenting. Would you happen to have any reloading data for that bullet? I've looked around a bit, but thought I might ask you. Before I answer that question, here's a picture of Corey's moose. Now to the question. I don't personally load that bullet in 7mm Remington Magnum, but almost every 160 grain bullet I've loaded for that cartridge really liked H4831 powder. I've made some good 160 grain loads with Reloader 22 also, but I like the Hodgdon Extreme powders better, and H4831 has never failed me when loading 160 grain bullets for 7mm Remington Magnum. I'd start there first. Our next question is from Joseph from Minnesota. Minnesota, don't you know? Joseph wrote, hello, my name is Joseph, and I really enjoy your well thought out videos. I own a barbershop and play your videos often. I have an idea for a video. The 30-06 is my favorite cartridge case because it's so versatile. Could you do a video on the various spin-off cartridges based on this case, from 25-06 to the mighty 400 Whelen? This may be the most versatile of all rifle cases. Thank you again for your excellent videos. I've learned a lot from you and look forward to learning more. Wow. My YouTube channel is being played on loop in a barbershop. If I had hair, I'd definitely get it cut in your shop. That's awesome. But to answer your question, Joseph, I probably do individual videos on many of those cartridges, especially the ones I love, like 35 Whelen and 338-06, rather than an hour-long video on the dozens of 30-06 spin-offs. Once again, thanks for the letter, Joseph, and for playing my videos in your barbershop for everybody to see. Stay warm. It looks like it's finally getting cold in your neck of the woods. Our next question is from Jason from Ireland. Love the Irish. Jason wrote, I've been watching your YouTube channel for about a year now and find the content absolutely superb. Good, sensible approach to hunting with an emphasis on proper hunting skills rather than long-distance sniping, something I consider lazy hunting. I really enjoyed your piece on the choice of hunting bullet. I've recently begun to migrate across to non-lead ammunition. Having been less than impressed with bullet weight retention in my typical shoulder shots with lead ammunition in both 270 and 308. The pieces on hunting authors and big bore cartridges were excellent watching too. Well, thank you for the compliments from Ireland, Jason. You're really going to love the copper bullets with the 270 because they like being driven faster. Today's modern non-lead bullets are absolutely perfect for those shoulder shots, which is my favorite shot. Our next piece of mail came from Rick from Colorado. Rick wrote, I love the experience you bring to the channel, the respect you have for wild game, and the appreciation for and coverage of the history of hunting and hunters. You also come across as incredibly genuine and well-meaning. We are certainly kindred spirits. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the issue of public lands being privatized, as well as how hunters can be more active in protecting them. Lastly, I wanted to ask your advice on a good cartridge for my next rifle. I'm looking to purchase a new rifle for hunting pronghorn, mule deer, and elk in Colorado and in Wyoming. I do a lot of backcountry hiking and cover quite a bit of rugged miles. I'm hoping to have a lightweight 18 to 20 inch rifle for these backcountry glass and run kind of hunts. I know it would be best to have separate rifles for each application, and I hope to be in that position to slowly build up that over time. But for now, is there a cartridge you would recommend for this specific application? Well, thank you for your kind words, and that's two very complicated questions. Let me tackle your first question first. The privatization of public land is a problem, especially for those of us out west who have lots of public land to hunt on. The people out west, we don't know how easy we have it compared to the guys back east. On the federal level, I don't believe all the media hype. The U.S. Forest Service is not selling off lands. The Bureau of Land Management isn't selling off land at a higher rate than it did before, or selling off much land at all, as the Los Angeles Times and some of the other liberal media outlets want you to believe. What the BLM is doing is granting leases for land use like grazing and oil drilling. A lease to use land is not the same thing as selling it. Where I live, we have huge amounts of BLM land, and that's what I mostly hunt on. Much of it is leased to oil companies and cattle companies for use, but I still hunt there and do pretty damn good. The overwhelming vast majority of BLM land is barren deserts and foothills, so get that image of oil companies destroying Yosemite or Yellowstone out of your heads. The media has conveniently replaced the word lease with the word sell. The BLM also often does what's called land exchanges. But the dirty little secret with these land exchanges behind the scenes is that the environmental activist groups often end up profiting from these little side deals. And remember, Congress, the United States Congress, is the only body with the legal authority to dispose of federal public lands. Our Congress is currently split between Republicans and Democrats, so blaming one party for any public land sale is pretty stupid because it's something Congress has to agree on. The real issue we have right now is individual states selling off state-owned land. States like Idaho, Utah, and Arizona are rapidly developing states right now as people migrate out of the coastal states because of the high cost of living. And those states are selling off public land at an alarming rate to meet, the demands of the influx of people coming in. And, to me personally, the biggest issue I've been having with loss of hunting land is that many individual counties in my state are selling off land to cities. As cities in our country continue to expand and grow exponentially, most of my dove and quail hotspots that I hunted 25 years ago have been sold to the city and are now housing tracts or industrial complexes. Most major cities make hunting illegal within city limits. And as these cities are growing, we're losing hunting opportunities, more and more every year. In California, a dirty little secret is that cities are acquiring pristine wilderness areas from counties and developing them at an alarming rate, and this is something that the media never covers. And let's see, what was the second part of that question? On the rifle for backpack hunting. Yeah, now to your other question, if I can only use one rifle for both pronghorn and elk, it'd probably be chambered in 270 or 280. But honestly, neither of these cartridges are going to like an 18-inch barrel. Honestly, I wouldn't sacrifice any weight by shortening a rifle barrel. In fact, my grandpa used to say it's better to lose a pound off your pack than it is to lose a pound off your rifle. And that's the mentality you should have with your hunting gear. Don't pick a great hard cartridge to hunt with, then kill its performance with inadequate barrel length. That longer barrel is there for a reason. It maximizes the performance of that cartridge. That's what you want. Moving on to our next question. It's from Doug. Doug asked, my question revolves around my eye dominance. I'm left eye dominant and have been looking at hunting rifles to suit. I'm not opposed to getting a left-handed bolt action, but would like to have a rifle to hand down to my son. Would it be better just to get a left-handed rifle, learn to shoot a right-handed rifle with my left eye, or get something ambidextrous like a Browning BLR or a Ruger number 1? That's a good question, Doug. That doesn't have an easy answer, unfortunately. I'm assuming that you're right-handed but left-eye dominant. This condition is called cross dominance. And, it takes a lot of practice to get your program together when you're cross dominant. If you can only shoot good right-handed, iron sights are pretty much out of the question for you. But there's some optic mounting solutions available to make things easier. I've seen cross-dominant shooters use offset scope mounts combined with a lowered stock cone to comfortably shoot scoped rifles. Red dots are also a good option for cross-eye dominant people because you shoot with both eyes open anyways with that. And you can always learn to shoot left-handed. It takes some training, but it's perfectly doable. As a matter of fact, most people who are cross-dominant like you end up doing just that. If you want to shoot right and left-handed with one rifle, the Ruger number 1 is probably the best option for that, in my opinion. And our next question is from Leon from Minnesota. Leon wrote, I'm a South African living in Minnesota. I met my wife in Pilanesberg National Park, where I was a field guide for about 5 years, many, many years ago. So didn't really do any hunting there, mainly taking tourists on game drives and walks and teaching them about wildlife. So it's nice for me to watch these videos. It even inspired me to buy a 416, which I should get any day now after a long, frustrating process, actually. I walked with a 375 in the bush for years. Also shot 458 many times when we had our training. So also wanted something kind of in between those two. Thanks again. Really appreciate your videos. Regards, Leon. Thanks for reaching out, Leon. And I'm sure that 416 will bring you lots of smiles. My wife and I have also had some wonderful times in Pilanesberg National Park. There's some video of that. And one day while my wife and I were in that park, our car was charged by an elephant there. Here's some quick video of that. He's charging us. And our next question is from Merrick from Canada. Merrick asked, I've seen many reviews of the X-Bolt, and it does look amazing. I love the features, and from what you say and others say, it's well made. I plan to get the rifle in 30-06 for deer and eventually moose. I'm in Canada, so our prices are a little different. But in your opinion, should I get the X-Bolt Hunter for $1,229, the X-Bolt Stainless Stalker for $1,400, or the Tikka T3X Light Stainless for $1,169? Does the stainless actually provide a much more durability, and is it worth spending more for it? Well, that's a great question. The X-Bolt is more expensive than the Tikka for a reason. It's flat out, it's a better rifle. But that doesn't mean that the Tikka is a bad rifle, because it's not. The Tikka is a much better rifle than a Remington or a Savage bolt action rifle. So if, getting the X-Bolt really straps you for cash, get a Tikka or a Howa and just hunt with that. And regarding your question about getting a stainless rifle, well, it depends. I take good care of my guns and maintain them properly. So a regular steel rifle with a good finish on it serves me perfectly well, for decades and decades of hunting all over the place. But if I live or plan to hunt in coastal Canada, you didn't tell me where you're hunting, but if it's anywhere near coastal Canada, definitely get the stainless. I have stainless Model 70s in 30-06 and 375 H&H that I use for any coastal hunting that I do. Saltwater and even salty air around the coast will do a number on a rifle pretty damn quick. And remember, stainless steel doesn't mean zero maintenance. You still have to maintain them like you do with any other rifle. Our next question is from Rhett from New Zealand. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Rhett. Rhett asked, I shoot off the bench now as I broke my neck on a construction site a while back. I'm looking for another target-style rifle caliber to shoot out to 500 yards at my local range, but do not want any modern fad whiz-bang. I want a bolt action and not too much recoil that I can load myself and just shoot against my last group. Your suggestions would be welcome, please. So your criteria is 500 yards bench shooting, common bolt action, low recoil, no modern whiz-bang cartridges, that's easy to load yourself with easy to get components. That pretty much rules out all the magnums and most of the long actions. And that rules out the competition rounds, the new Nosler Creedmoor PRC rounds, the Ackley improved and Wildcat cartridges, and all the nearly dead or dying cartridges, and all the underpowered light cartridges that run out of steam at 500 yards. So you just basically took most rifle cartridges off the table with that request. But the first thing that comes to mind with your request is the 260 Remington or the 7mm Odd 8. 260 brass is easier to buy. Recoil is very light with the 260, and those 140 grain bullets will make you smile every time. 7mm Odd 8 brass is a little bit harder to find, but really easy to make from 308 brass. But those 168 grain high BC bullets will really buck the wind on your 500 yard targets. And, at the expense of maybe just a little bit more recoil. Or you could just, go the easiest route and shoot a 308. But, performance will be a little bit better shooting the 260 or the 7mm Odd 8, but overall it sounds like the 260 is a good match for you. But personally, if I had those same exact requests you have in your letter here, I'd just use the 6.5 Creedmoor because brass is a lot easier to get. Our next question is from Dave from Pittsburgh. David wrote, just watched your review of the X-Bolt rifle. Great video. Can you please tell me the model of the Leupold scope that you have on it? Well, thank you for the compliments, David. The scope on that rifle is a Leupold VX6 with a 50mm objective. And next we have some mail from Adam. Adam wrote, I'm writing you in hopes of finding a solution to a small issue I'm having. I recently found a 1995 Winchester Model 70 Stainless Classic in 375 H&H in like new condition. It's a very nice rifle. This has been a dream rifle for me as I live and hunt in Alaska. My plan was to use a set of Warren Maxima quick release rings that I already have. Also a great choice. I found a set of Warren Maxima bases with the .330 rear hole spacing, which arrived today. They fit my rifle, but the front base piece either hangs over the front of the receiver or it hangs over the ejection port if I reverse it. Both of these setups are less than ideal to me. Having the base hang over the barrel is unsightly, and having it hang over the ejection port is just asking for trouble in my opinion. Well, Adam, that base is actually supposed to hang over the ejection port a little bit by design. It's the way they're made. With the long magnum action required for the 375 H&H, it's almost impossible to get proper eye relief with the scope without mounting the front ring farther back. This front base allows you to do that basically. I don't know if you could see how that's mounted right there? And you could see my scope bell right here. I'm right up to the edge with my ring right there. If my rings were mounted right here in the middle, I would lose an inch of eye relief, and there's no way this scope, or probably any scope with any decent magnification, would work for me. So these were made that way by design. This wasn't, I just want to let you know, making the bases like this was not a mistake by the manufacturer. It's actually a well-engineered design. This base also doesn't affect the function of the rifle in any way. Trust me on that. If you don't want this overhang, you can get the Tally integrated rings, but don't come crying to me when you can't get proper eye relief with them, because I've been down that road before. My advice is to actually try those bases before you form an opinion on them. I've hunted all over the world with them, and I've never had an issue. Let me take a look at that again. It's exactly how they're supposed to mount. And as you can see, here's another example for you. This is a Winchester Model 70 also, using Warren mounts and Warren Mountain Tech rings. And you can see that this front mount does extend a little bit over the receiver opening right here. And you can see I'm right up to the very edge of the bell here. And I have perfect eye relief. And once again, if I had centered rings right here on the front, that'd put my ring about over here, and I'd lose a good inch of eye relief. So I don't want that. These bases are actually a godsend. Our next question is from Tyler from Fresno, right up Highway 99. Tyler asked, "What's your favorite bird hunting dog? And I don't mean to get personal with you, but why haven't you gotten a new hunting dog?" That's a pretty complicated question, Tyler. And my answer is sure to piss some people off. So I guess I'll just go ahead and throw my opinion out there. In my opinion, there's 3 types of hunting dogs. Regardless of breed. There's 3 types of hunting dogs. Crappy hunting dogs, adequate hunting dogs, and great hunting dogs. About half the dogs I see in the field are crappy hunting dogs. A crappy hunting dog is a hindrance more than a help while you're out hunting. You'll actually shoot more birds without these dogs than you will with them. I guarantee that. About 40% of the dogs I see in the field are what I would call adequate dogs. They might point or flush, but the owner's still constantly yelling at them to get them to behave, which in turn probably turns off just as many birds as the dogs find. So, in the end, hunting with these dogs is probably a zero-sum game. You hunt with these dogs because you like spending time in the great outdoors with your dog. And the amount to which you convince yourself that the dog is helping is completely up to you. In this respect, most owners of these dogs are delusional to some degree. Then you have what I consider to be the great dogs. These dogs, regardless of breed, are masters of the hunt. They have fantastic natural instincts, superb intelligence and obedience, and understand what they need to do without being told. These dogs are amazing hunting companions and really put the odds in your favor. But these dogs are like unicorns, though, and I've only really seen a few truly great upland dogs in my lifetime, so they're not very common. Unfortunately, everybody thinks they have a great hunting dog. Most folks around here that brag about their dogs, go on canned club hunts, where 500-pound guys with $4,000 shotguns walk around in a field full of planted birds, but that's not my style. So when I hunt with other people's dogs for wild birds and, real wild, rugged terrain, I usually end up breaking away from them and hunting on my own. I don't know why, but here locally, everyone has to have a Brittany. I mean, these dogs just want to play when they get out of the truck. The owners are constantly yelling at them. They lose focus around other dogs. They seem to like rabbits more than birds, too. I mean, and honestly, 90% of the time, the owners are jump shooting birds that the dogs didn't find anyways, and then walking around pointing out the dead birds so the dogs can pick them up. Basically, the dog isn't really doing much at anything, and the owner's yelling at or correcting their dog more than they're actually out hunting, so hunting with most people's dogs that I go out and hunt with has been a disadvantage to me because, they're between the dog romping through the bush and the owner yelling at the dog. It's a pretty noisy situation, and you're definitely not sneaking up on anything. In contrast, I can silently listen for quail, locate where they are, and plant a stalk on the covey. And even if I bust a covey by surprise, I'm usually right on top of them when I bust them before they even notice me, which makes the shots really easy. So it's not that I don't want another hunting dog. I guess it's that I'm just waiting for the right one. And I feel like the money is better spent on other things. I put in my scouting, I find my spots, and I'm getting birds without a dog. And by the way, I know everybody hates by the ways. All of the exceptional hunting dogs I've seen in my life have all been labs and German short-haired pointers. I personally lean to the labs because they have a better temperament, are calmer on most upland hunts, and they could do double duty as a good waterfowl dog too. Right now, I just have pet dogs, but I do take my little terrier mix, Dobie, with me hunting sometimes just because he loves going. He doesn't point or flush, but he stays very quiet, never strays from me, and he doesn't scare birds. He just enjoys being outdoors with his dad. Here's a picture of me and him last week hunting quail. And our final question of the day is from Vince in Nevada. Vince wrote, "Desert Dog, I heard you mention that Dorados are your favorite fish to catch. What is your favorite fish to eat?" Well, Vince, it depends. Many fish suit different dishes better. Triggerfish makes the best ceviche with that perfect lobster-like texture when you cook it in lemon juice. California yellowtail makes the best sashimi. Rockfish makes the best fish tacos. Crappie strips are hard to beat for a big fish fry when you have friends over. Albacore makes the best tuna sandwiches, and I can go on and on forever. But there is one fish that tastes great no matter how you cook it, and that's halibut. Halibut has that perfect texture. It's never gamey or fishy tasting, and it responds well to almost any sauce. It'll It'll cook perfectly in the oven, on the stove, on the grill, in the smoker, in the fryer, or sitting in a bowl of lemon juice. When it comes to eating fish, the halibut holds the top honor for me. Well, that concludes October's edition of Hunt Camp Mail. I also want to thank BJ, Aaron, Henry from the Big Island of Hawaii, George, Mark, Frank from Idaho, and Joe from Delano for your kind words and compliments. I have some great videos planned for the next month, including some shotgun content like I promised. I also have another fishing trip planned to the Sea of Cortez next month, so I'll see if I can squeeze in a video about that also. As always, you can reach me at desertdogoutdoors@gmail.com. That's desertdogoutdoors@gmail.com. Thanks for watching my channel, and good hunting.